Toolkit 5, Circular Ecosystem in Community. Title of the activity, Circular Ecosystem in the Community. Aim of the activity, to encourage collaborative thinking and sustainable systems design so that participants understand how a circular economy works and how to apply it in a community. This activity allows young people to explore the concept of zero waste and think of ways to reduce waste and maximize the use of resources. Activity description. In this activity, participants will collaborate to design a sustainable community in which each person has a role in managing basic resources, such as water, food, and energy. Each group will work on a circular economy system in which all resources are reused or recycled. At the end, they will present their circular community design, explaining how each role contributes to minimizing waste and promoting sustainability. Materials needed: large paper, flip chart or poster board, markers, colored pencils, and other drawing materials, post-its or sticky cards to represent resources or roles. Examples of sustainable communities or circular economy diagrams, optional for inspiration. Duration of the activity, 60 to 75 minutes. Group size, groups of 4 to 6 people. Step-by-step instructions. Introduction, 10 minutes. Briefly explains the concept of circular economy and the idea of zero waste, showing examples of how a sustainable community can function as a closed system. Clarifies that every resource should be used and recycled within the community without generating waste. Group formation and resource allocation, 5 minutes. Divide participants into groups of 4 to 6 people. Assign each group a basic resource to manage in the community, such as water, food, energy, waste, materials, e.g. plastic, wood, paper. Alternatively, each group can take on a role within the community, such as agriculture, water management, energy generation, etc. Designing the circular community, 20 minutes. Each group should design how to manage their resource to minimize waste, thinking of ways to reuse and recycle within the community. For example, the food group can plan a composting system to convert organic waste into fertilizer. The water group can design a rainwater harvesting and filtering system. The energy group can think of ways to produce renewable energy, solar panels, wind energy, etc. Connecting groups, 15 minutes. After working in their area, each group should collaborate with the others to integrate their systems. For example, the food group could coordinate with the waste group to transform food waste into compost. The groups should work together to ensure that the system is self-sufficient and functional as a circular ecosystem. Design presentation, 10 to 15 minutes. Each group presents their proposal, explaining how they will manage their resource and how they will connect with the other groups to create a sustainable community. They can use drawings, diagrams, and post-its to show how their design would work. Reflection and closure. Facilitate a group reflection to discuss what you have learned. Some questions to ask include: what challenges did you face in trying to design a circular system? How do you think the implementation of a circular economy would help a real community? What role do they think they themselves can play in creating a sustainable community? Stimulating assessment, innovation and collaboration badges. To motivate participants and encourage learning, you can implement an evaluation with recognition badges that acknowledge creativity and teamwork. Innovation and collaboration. Badges, 5 minutes. At the end of the activity, the facilitator awards badges to each group in different categories, based on the performance and creativity of their design. The badges can be: Sustainable Innovation Badge, for the group that came up with the most original and viable ideas. Best Integration into the Circular System Badge, for the group that showed the best connection and collaboration with other resources. Lowest Waste Badge, for the group whose design minimized the waste of its resource as much as possible. Community Conscience Badge, for the group that took into account the welfare of the whole community in their proposal. Peer voting, 5 minutes. After badges are awarded, each group can vote for another group's design in an additional category, such as Most Inspiring Design. This encourages peer appreciation and allows all groups to feel valued for their contributions. Activity variance. If the group is large, a second round of design can be held in which the proposals are adjusted according to the feedback received. For a more interactive version, groups can build a model with recycled materials, physically representing their circular economy proposals. Tips for the facilitator. Make sure the groups have a good understanding of the principles of the circular economy and the concept of zero waste. Encourage participants to think of realistic but creative solutions and help facilitate dialogue between groups to work collaboratively. Remember that the aim is for groups to understand the impact of each resource on the overall system, so the process of connecting their proposals is key to learning. Method of evaluation. Evaluation is based on badges awarded by the facilitator, as well as peer voting. You can also assess the cohesion and effectiveness of each group's design, their creativity, and the clarity of their presentations. Observe how they integrate their work with that of the other groups to assess their ability to collaborate in the circular system. Additional notes. This activity allows young people to experience hands-on how circular systems work and how each resource or area affects the whole community. It also develops planning, collaboration, and systems thinking skills, fostering a holistic understanding of sustainability. Chapter 6. Future Orientations. Throughout the book, we have seen the importance of environmental literacy and its various benefits and contributions to communities, and more specifically to post-conflict communities. It is not a well-trodden concept, and there is still a lot of research and practice to be done, more studies to be funded, educational programs to be created, classrooms to be reached, and a wide range of activities and learning resources to be created around this issue. The debate should focus on how to effectively address environmental education and awareness in communities devastated by war, with the aim of fostering sustainable and resilient recovery. We believe it is essential to recognize that post-war contexts present unique conditions that affect both the perception and practice of environmental literacy. The physical and social devastation left by war, such as the destruction of infrastructure and displacement of communities, creates an environment where immediate priorities often focus on basic survival. However, integrating environmental literacy from the earlier stages of reconstruction can offer significant long-term benefits for both ecological recovery and social stability. A crucial orientation in this area is the integration of environmental literacy into formal and informal education programs. This implies not only the inclusion of environmental content in school curricula, but also the implementation of community-based programs that encourage active participation and hands-on learning on issues such as sustainable resource management, biodiversity conservation, and climate change mitigation. In this regard, schools and community organizations can act as focal points for the dissemination of environmental knowledge and practices. It is, in turn, essential to adapt environmental literacy strategies to the cultural and socio-economic particularities of the affected communities. Knowledge building should be participatory and collaborative, recognizing and valuing local knowledge and traditional practices that can contribute to environmental sustainability. For example, in regions where agriculture is a predominant activity, environmental education could focus on sustainable agricultural practices and the restoration of degraded soils. Another important aspect is the focus on youth as agents of change. Young people in post-conflict contexts not only represent the future of their communities, but can also act as catalysts for social and environmental change. Education and training programs targeting youth can empower new generations to take an active role in rebuilding their environments and promoting sustainable practices. International collaboration is crucial for fostering environmental literacy, particularly in the aftermath of war. International agencies, NGOs, and other global actors can provide resources, expertise, and technical support to develop and implement effective education programs. However, it is crucial that these interventions are sensitive to local dynamics and designed in collaboration with affected communities, to avoid paternalistic approaches and ensure the relevance and sustainability of efforts. In terms of research, further exploration of best practices and effective strategies is needed. This includes case studies that document successful experiences, as well as research that identifies barriers and facilitators to implementing education programs in these settings. Research should also address the intersections between environmental education and other critical factors in post-war settings, such as mental health, social cohesion, and economic development. In conclusion, environmental literacy in post-war reconstruction is a complex but essential area for promoting sustainable and resilient recovery. It requires a multifaceted approach that integrates formal and informal education, values local knowledge, empowers youth, and fosters international cooperation. Research and practice in this field must be dynamic and adaptive, responding to the specific needs and circumstances of communities affected by armed conflict. Doing so will not only contribute to environmental restoration, but also to building more just and equitable societies. The implications for policy and decision-making in this context are diverse and profound, affecting multiple levels of governance and areas of intervention. Policies and decisions must be comprehensive and collaborative, focusing on education, community participation, valorization of local knowledge, international cooperation, and support for research. These actions will not only facilitate ecological recovery, but also contribute to building more sustainable and resilient societies. Integration into reconstruction planning. Reconstruction policies should incorporate environmental literacy as an essential component from the earliest stages. This will ensure that sustainable practices and proper management of natural resources are seen as fundamental to long-term recovery. Development of inclusive educational curricula. It is crucial that ministries of education in war-affected countries include environmental content in school curricula. This promotes environmental awareness from an early age and prepares future generations to face environmental challenges. Strengthening community programs. Policies should support the creation and strengthening of community-based environmental education programs. These programs should be designed in collaboration with local communities to ensure that they are culturally relevant and effective. Youth empowerment. Youth policies should include environmental literacy components, providing young people with the tools and knowledge to actively participate in rebuilding their communities and promoting sustainable practices. International collaboration and technical assistance. Governments should work closely with international agencies, NGOs, and other global actors to obtain resources, expertise, and technical support. It is important that these partnerships are equitable and designed in consultation with local communities. Assessment of local knowledge. Policies should recognize and value traditional knowledge and practices that contribute to environmental sustainability. Integrating this knowledge into education and reconstruction programs can increase their effectiveness and local acceptance. Promotion of research and development. It is essential to support research on best practices and effective strategies for environmental literacy in post-war contexts. This includes funding studies that document successful experiences and explore the specific challenges of these settings. Social cohesion and economic development policies must recognize the intersections between environmental education, mental health, social cohesion, and economic development. A holistic approach can help build more resilient and equitable societies where ecological and social recovery are mutually reinforcing. Toolkit 6. Environmental Commitment Wheel. Title of the activity: Environmental Engagement Roundtable. Aim of the activity: to motivate participants to identify and commit to sustainable actions that they can apply in their daily lives. The activity aims for each participant to reflect on their individual impact on the environment and develop a personal commitment plan. Activity description. In this activity, each participant will select a sustainable action they want to implement in their daily life, such as reducing the use of plastics, saving water, or using sustainable transport, and design a plan to fulfill this action. At the end, they will share their commitments and receive a commitment stamp, symbolizing their participation and responsibility in this initiative. Materials needed: cardboard wheel, divided into different categories of sustainable actions, e.g. water, energy, waste, food, transport. Blank cards for each participant to write down their specific commitment. Stickers or adhesive stamps for the final game. Markers and pens. Duration of the activity: 40 to 50 minutes. Group size: individual, but with a final group dynamic. Step-by-step instructions. Introduction: 5 minutes. Explain to participants that this activity is focused on personal commitments to improve the environment. Talk briefly about the importance of each sustainable action in areas such as saving water, reducing waste, responsible consumption, etc. Spin the wheel, 10 minutes. Each participant spins the commitment wheel, which has different categories of sustainable actions. Depending on which category the wheel falls into, the participant will choose an action within that category that they want to implement in their life. Examples: water, reduce shower time or reuse water. Energy, turn off lights and electrical appliances when not in use. Waste, practice recycling or reduce the use of plastics. Food, choose more local foods or reduce meat consumption. Transport, opt for cycling, walking or ride-sharing. Designing the engagement plan, 10 minutes. Once each participant has selected their action, they should think of a specific plan to implement it in their daily lives. For example, if the commitment is to reduce the use of plastics, they could commit to carrying a reusable bottle and avoiding single-use products. Sharing commitments, 10 minutes. Each participant shares their commitment with the group, explaining why they chose that action and how they plan to fulfill it. This helps everyone to inspire each other and to exchange ideas or advice. Simple assessment. Achievement card game. At the end of the activity, carry out a simple and motivating evaluation with a quick game. Achievement cards, 5 minutes. Each participant receives an achievement card where they will write down their commitment and take away a participation stamp, sticker or mark as a symbol of their commitment. Encourage participants to keep the card and show it to someone in their family or group of friends to reinforce the commitment they have made. Pass the pledge, 5 minutes. In a circle, participants pass their cards to the partner on the right. Each person reads out their partner's commitment and gives them a cheer or word of encouragement to fulfill it. This creates a positive atmosphere and reinforces group support. Reflection and closure. End the activity by reflecting as a group with questions such as: why do you think it is important to make individual commitments for the environment? How did they feel when they heard their partner's commitments? What impact do you think you can achieve with your actions over time? Activity variants. If you have time, you can do a second round of the pledge wheel for each person to choose a second pledge in a different category. For larger groups, you can create several engagement wheels, each focusing on a specific theme, and allow participants to choose a wheel to spin. Tips for the facilitator. Make sure that each participant is clear about their specific commitment and that it is realistic to implement in their daily life. Encourage young people to choose commitments that really motivate them so that they are more likely to keep them. Reinforce the supportive atmosphere and avoid pressure among participants. The activity should feel positive and stimulating. Assessment method. Assessment is done through achievement cards and cheering applause, or words of encouragement from their peers, which helps to reinforce their commitment in a playful and motivating way. Additional notes. This activity is excellent for promoting individual responsibility and self-efficacy, allowing each young person to see how their individual action can contribute to the well-being of the planet. It is a good idea to follow up in future sessions to see if participants have managed to implement their commitments.